What is up, everybody, and welcome to Iron Video Labs. I decided to name this channel Iron Video Labs because this is an experimentation. I am by no means an expert. For some reason, I have found success, but I think it's just been an experiment, just trying things out, and that's kind of what I want to build this community around. Is a bunch of creative people, a bunch of entrepreneurials, getting together and just really figuring out what it takes to be successful. Today's video isn't going to be a pointed like XYZ, do this, this, or this. It's really going to be a question that I want us to philosophically and practically ponder. And it's this idea: is making six figures a benchmark of success? And this is a really interesting topic. In previous video, I've talked about the fact that I've made six figures. We've like thrown that around, and I really want to dive into that and figure out what that means, because it sounds actually maybe better than it really is in some cases. Don't get me wrong, like six figures for me growing up felt almost unattainable. I made under $20,000 between my wife and I's income before we moved to Wisconsin. So it was 2012, 2013. And that like $18,500 felt like that was the most money we had ever made at that point. Granted, that was 2013, so things didn't cost as much as they did now, but still not really a livable wage. And so I kind of want to just talk about this. And this conversation really is important because, one, I define success by way more than financial gain, right? Fulfillment, blessing, doesn't just mean finances, but like just how I operate, like the relationships I built, all of those equate to success. But you start a business to make money and to provide a life for your family and all those things. So let's dive into this. Why am I saying, like, is six figures a good benchmark for, financial success or where you want to be as a company? And though it is great, it's a little bit misleading, because though my company made six figures in the first year, I did not take home six figures. What do I mean by that? Well, there were things that cost me money in my business. There were people that I had to hire for certain things. There was business expenses, if you will. New camera gear. If you have been in any sort of photography or videography for any amount of time, you know that it just continually adds up, right? Like, and just to be frank, like I spent probably 40-ish thousand dollars in my first year just on camera gear. Now, you don't have to necessarily do that. I have a little bit of like gas, right? Like gear acquisition syndrome. I don't know, it's a dumb, but like you do need to purchase new things. Like I had really old, outdated cameras. They were glitching all the time, and so I knew if I was going to upgrade, I was going to upgrade to something better. I got an FX6, I got an FX3, right? Like I got all of these cameras that cost a lot of money. All of the lights set up, like building a studio, like everything costs money. And it's from a practical business standpoint, like it's good that things cost money because I'm getting value out of it. It's helping me do my job easier. I don't have to pay the government as much, right? Like it's all tax write-off. And if you don't know anything about the tax system and how it works, like you really need to have conversations with CPAs. But I'll give you a brief, I'm by no means an expert, but I'll give you a brief rundown. So every amount of income that you make needs to be reported, whether that was 1099 income, whether that was cash jobs given. Like ethically, you need to report that, right? You need to submit to the IRS, this is how much I made. The nice thing about 1099 work, or LLC, solo contractor, whatever you want to call that, however the IRS is going to recognize your sole proprietor, however it's going to recognize your business, right? You get to have tax write-offs. And the more tax write-offs you have, the less tax you pay, or the less taxable income you have, right? And so let's say we're looking at $100,000. Well, you have to pay $15,000, $15,200, 15.2% in taxes on that income. Every dollar that you receive, you have to pay that self-employment tax on, right? And so if you have $100,000 and $45,000 worth of tax write-offs, then you pay 15% on 60,000, right? Or 55,000. And the closer you get that number of taxable income to zero, the less taxes obviously you have to pay. And so I was buying things with the idea that there was going to be tax write-offs, there was going to be incentives and things like that, and credits and stuff like that, so that my tax liability was less. Now, that being said, again, you don't just spend $100,000 that your taxes are zero, because that's stupid. You need to have margin, you need to have money to survive, you need to have a livable income. And so this is kind of where it got a little tricky. Is like my business made over $100,000, but I personally did not. Like my family, we that first year, I would say that we survived. We had a little bit more than we had before, but being in ministry isn't a super high paying job. And so I was by no means living in luxury. We weren't taking a bunch of fancy trips to the Bahamas or Turks and Caicos or anything like that. We lived modestly. We were still like in our normal range of budget and spending. And like my kids didn't go hungry. Our mortgage got paid. Put a little bit into savings. Put a little bit into an IRA, which, by the way, I will tell you from an entrepreneurial standpoint, there is no more like 401k match things that exist for you, because you're on your own now. And so you need to be proactively putting money away. And so $6,000 of whatever I made the last 2 years, I have max funded out a Roth IRA, because I'm the only one putting money in there. I rolled over my previous employer's income into this simple Roth IRA so that it can continue to build. But complete side tangent, but you need to be doing that. So that's $6,000 you don't currently have access to. That is, going into that our IRA account. You need to have business insurance. You need to be having a bookkeeper probably. You need to be, paying for gas to get to and from jobs. You could include that in your price. I chose not to my first year. Maybe that was a mistake. You can leave me a comment below if you think that I should have been doing that. There's a lot out there on those types of like ancillary services, but you're going to be spending money on food on the road. You're going to be spending money, like I spent probably $2,000 in client acquisition meals. Like I would go out with prospective clients and I would sit and meet with them and I would pay for their dinner, right? Like marketing costs. My first year, I spent probably $10,000 on marketing. And the sucky part about that is I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was kind of throwing shots in the dark, just guessing and learning as I went. And so some of it worked, some of it didn't. One thing that people don't tell you is that most marketing is a crapshoot. Like you can't guarantee anything. And if you're out there and you're like, I can guarantee my marketing results, good for you. Teach me how to do that, because I've tried everything in the book and sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. But spent a ton of money on marketing, spent a ton of money on gear, spent a ton of money on like ancillary things and renting studio spaces, because I don't have a studio. Like everything costs money. And so if you're going to grow your business, you need to invest in it. And so like, yeah, 6 figures sounds amazing, but it's not exactly what it sounds like. Now, this last year, I did make a lot more, but my expenses were also a lot higher. And so I'm averaging out a little bit better than the year before. But the thing that is really unique, and I think this is worth talking about, is like revenue received versus profit realized are just two very different figures. And we can sit down and break that all down one day, but I'm telling you, it's not just like hitting six figures shouldn't be the goal or the benchmark that you measure success. It's really a lot deeper than that. It's really a lot more than that. It's really a lot more complicated than that. And it's just something that I think that you need to consider when starting your business. Like, all these people are making a ton of money, like promising six figures. And to be honest, like, I don't know if the four of you who watch my videos notice this. Took that language out of my captions because I've realized, like, it's misleading. It just it's clickbaity and it's flashy, and I really didn't want to do that anymore. I just want to be fully transparent with you guys. Like, we can talk about the numbers. I'm totally fine with that, but it's more than that. It's so much different than just the numbers, and it is a misleading stat. Like, I could show you all of the receipts, all of my client contracts, exactly every dollar that was my company received in revenue, but it's not the full picture. Like, it would take a long time to break down all of the expenses and all of the things that you spent money on. And so I hope this brings some clarity to you guys, that there's really more to this story, that you really need to be fully evaluating growing a company. What does it look like to invest in your company? Do you know what your tax liability is? Are you providing for your future self? Like, are you putting money into a retirement savings account or an IRA? Like most entrepreneurs, most like business people that I know aren't doing some of these things. And the creatives in us, like, we want to focus on building the best, coolest, most sick content, and like we hit six figures, and that's amazing. I can't tell you enough. Like, you need to be thinking about the whole picture, like looking at the whole pie. Like, the revenue received is just a chunk of that pie. I'm sorry, I just made that analogy up on the spot, but it's so true. Like, there's way more to that pie than just the one slice that is revenue received. And so be thinking about that in terms of like measuring success or having goals or whatever the case may be. Like, you need to be looking at that. So I hope that helps. I hope this video was something that you could chew on. Leave me some comments. Like, I want to interact with you guys. Like, give me some feedback. Where are you at in your company? Like, what are you looking to build? What's going on with you guys? And let's really start like navigating that idea together, and see what it takes to really like push the benchmark forward, to really be successful, to have the kind of revenue and the kind of lifestyle with building this like small one man band kind of business. So again, I don't really have a cool sign off, so peace.